up, U.S. Tzu Chi volunteers and Tzu Chings hold an aid distribution to help flood survivors in Austin, Texas. We learn how the Australian government is dealing with the increasing number of asylum seekers. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Wendy Chen. Thank you for joining us. First up in the United States, following the flooding in Austin, Texas at the end of October, Tzu Chi volunteers arrived in mid-November to carry out a disaster survey, as well as hand out cash cards and blankets to the survivors. Helping out at the distribution site were 22 Tzu Chings, who all gained a valuable lesson through such events.
The pacing of love needs no words, just a heart of sincerity. It's the truth that 22 Tzu Chings helping out at an aid distribution in Austin, Texas, came to realize firsthand.
Keep our hearts from sorrows and pain.
One of the aid recipients shared with me that he struggled to hold his tears back during the event. Seeing the Tzu Chings on stage and their performance, he said he could feel how they were really expressing themselves from their hearts, and it was a moving thing to see. It was then that he could no longer hold back his tears. So this shows how great our Tzu Chings are.
Wherever there was work to be done, the Tzu Chings and their boundless enthusiasm were there to help. Several of the students also put on sign language performance, better deliver their message of compassion and love.
My first one, and I think despite the bad reasoning that we had to be here, I think it was a really great, meaningful day.
I learned that enjoyment and joy and happiness not only come from the company of your friends, but also from the company of those in need. And so I definitely know that I want to work with people, and I definitely know that Tzu Ching is something that I really want to continue throughout my college career.
As the Tzu Chings did their best to comfort the flood survivors, they also came to a deeper understanding of their own lives.
They gave me a bright feeling, inspiring for the hope, and to know that there's always something better out there. A lot of people were affected by Tzu Chi. They were very compassionate, and I hope that we got to share the love and that everybody could feel that we really do care sincerely and compassionately.
At the end of the day, the Tzu Chings and young volunteers not only came to a better understanding of what it means to volunteer, but also experienced for themselves the joy that comes from helping others.
As Typhoon Haiyan wreaked havoc in the Philippines, countless disaster survivors are in desperate need of medical attention. To help, medical staff from 6 city hospitals in Taiwan arrived in Tacloban City to carry out free clinics at a local school.
Seeing the arrival of Tzu Chi medical staff, disaster survivors show their warmest welcome. Later, the medical team starts setting up the free clinic site. The doctors from Taiwan are here in the Philippines, Tacloban City, to provide free medical services for the Haiyan typhoon survivors. As you can see, many residents were injured by debris during the typhoon. The medical team set up this classroom as their operating room for medical treatment.
No problem. Is there any pain?
Before we cleaned her wound, she was very worried. We told her we will give her a local anesthesia, and then she said she was fine with that.
These doctors not only treat wounds, but also offer their patients emotional support.
Thank you very much. God bless.
Among the doctors is Dr. Cai Wenxin, a first-timer for such overseas free clinics, who carefully diagnoses children's conditions.
Some of the kids suffer from gastroenteritis or colds, and infants I just saw suffers from bronchopneumonia. I know they're going through a hard time, and what we can do is to do our best to give them the right medication to ease their pain.
The medical team also offered dental services, and throughout the free clinics event, all patients waited for their treatment patiently.
This free clinic was joined by 35 medical volunteers from 6 Tzu Chi hospitals and TIMA in Taiwan, plus 20 Tzu Chi volunteers. We are very grateful to have this opportunity to help these disaster survivors.
As part of their continued care for the needy, Tzu Chi's medical staff plan to carry out home visitations to reach more disaster survivors who are in desperate need of medical attention. The next morning, the medical team continued their free clinic. Seeing the residents coming to join Tzu Chi's Cash for Work program, the medical staff approached to care for their body conditions. At the free clinic the previous day, a small boy named Noni was diagnosed with congenital heart disease, and Tzu Chi decided to help him with the necessary treatment. Noni's father is the sole breadwinner of the family. Despite living in hardship, the family still remains optimistic in the face of the disaster. Meanwhile, Director of Tzu Chi Medical Mission Lin Junlong led a group of doctors to visit a local government official who is also a Tzu Ching alumnus.
Kausing Tzu Chi is currently here in Tacloban. For sure, especially the way Tzu Chi works, that it is not only short time and it is a very long term. We are actually looking forward to Tzu Chi's cooperation with us also, so we can rebuild our city.
Despite a long path to recovery, with the contributions from the NGO and the government, Tacloban City will soon be able to get back on its feet.
In the aftermath of Typhoon Haiyan, Tzu Chi volunteers in the Philippines have mobilized to conduct a series of disaster survey, followed by a 2-day distribution in Omak City on November 23rd and 24th. The event helped a total of 9,900 households with relief items and consolation cash.
Joining in the queue to pick up Tzu Chi's blankets, these disaster survivors are full of gratitude.
Thank you.
The recipients also receive a letter from Master Zheng Yan and consolation cash, all of which has given them the strength to carry on with the rebuilding.
Thank you so much to the foundation that they conducted this help for us.
In the face of the devastating natural disaster, these survivors realize they are not alone.
So I was very glad, I was very happy for my people, because I know it's a big help for them, for us to recover, and then the people of Tzu Chi Foundation, as a whole, the Taiwan people, thank you so much. We never forget this one.
This 2-day aid distribution left me with a hoarse voice, but I'm very happy to have been able to help these disaster survivors. Their smiles make every effort we put in worthwhile.
Putting their hands together in prayer, countless disaster survivors are moved to tears as they listen to a Tzu Chi song.
I feel blessed because the Tzu Chi Foundation is here to help us. We're grateful to have the company of the Tzu Chi volunteers.
At the second day of the aid distribution in Omak City, Tzu Chi volunteers reached out to more people in need with blankets, second-hand clothing, 20-kilo bags of rice, consolation cash, and a letter from Master Zheng Yan.
I feel happy to help the less fortunate, especially when I see their smiles.
At the distribution event held in a local hotel, Tima volunteers who returned to Omak City from Tacloban joined Tzu Chi volunteers in handing out consolation cash to the disaster survivors.
All right, take care. Good luck. Good luck.
Salamat. Thank you.
As the 2-day aid distribution concludes on a perfect note, Tzu Chi volunteers in the Philippines and from across the globe will continue to pour their love into this typhoon-stricken land and accompany its needy residents through the difficult times at hand.
In the Philippines, Tzu Chi volunteers have continued their efforts to help the poor residents living in the urban communities outside of Manila. At the end of October, volunteers held rice distributions in Caloocan and San Mateo, during which they handed out 20-kilo bags of rice to many impoverished families.
Christina, who thanks to Tzu Chi's free clinic was able to beat her thyroid cancer, gladly gets on stage to say a word on the foundation's behalf prior to today's rice distribution.
I want to deeply thank the Tzu Chi Foundation for helping me with my health problems. Thanks to their assistance, I was able to get surgery and remove my tumor. My life has changed for the better since then.
Here in Caloocan, volunteers are bringing rice to families in need. Among the recipients is Roberto, who, in order to take care of his sick wife and child, has been unable to work. For him, the 20-kilo bag of rice is simply a lifesaver.
I want to thank the Tzu Chi Foundation for the rice it has given us. It means that for the next 10 days, our family doesn't have to worry about not having enough to eat.
I don't know how to express the deep gratitude I have for the Tzu Chi Foundation. You not only have helped us, but you are also helping the residents of Bohol and Mindanao Islands after the disaster there.
While in San Mateo, Tzu Chi's love was also finding families in need. Families such as Maria's, who have been unable to find steady work for the past 2 months, putting them on the edge of starvation. Thankfully, Tzu Chi was there to help.
Since the flooding for the last 2 months, our family has been unable to find work. The rise from Tzu Chi is a huge help. Thank you, Tzu Chi, for bringing us your blessings.
At the end of the distribution, a Tzu Chi song is played, and although the audience does not understand the Chinese lyrics, they understand the message of gratitude, love, and helping others in need.
The increasing number of asylum seekers in Australia each year has long been a burden on taxpayers. Recently, with the change in Australia's government, the new Prime Minister has sought to take action to stop the growing numbers of refugees entering the country. And for those who have been granted refugee status, the problems associated with living in a foreign country are just the beginning. Here's more.
Every year, tens of thousands of refugees arrive by boat on the shores of Australia. The strain this places on the national treasury and how to handle the steady influx of refugees and asylum seekers have become hot topics in recent years. Many asylum seekers arrive by boat via Indonesia, and the boats they arrive on are often tiny vessels that cannot withstand the harsh conditions of the ocean. As more and more of them arrive, Australia's government has been working to come up with a solution to deal with them. From 2011 to 2013, the number of asylum seekers increased dramatically, and in the first half of this year alone, over 6,000 people were documented. However, with a new party in office, the policy regarding asylum seekers has changed.
We were receiving sometimes up to 450 people in a month as asylum seekers. Since the change of government, that number dropped dramatically. We still had a couple of referrals coming through, but in the last month we've had no new arrivals through that asylum seeker program.
For asylum seekers, the Australian government will provide shelter and financial assistance. Australia has always been a country with high taxable income. For someone who on average makes over $4,600 a month, 32.5% of their salary goes towards income taxes. Thus, not many people are willing to contribute more of their hard-earned money to settle asylum seekers.
And I feel that we should support them, but at the same time, our economy is not so strong at the moment, you know.
I think that's a big worry because we're not set up to take the large numbers of them that come in.
I don't think that individuals' feelings are being taken into it. I think we lump refugees in as a whole and we don't think about their individual feelings.
This is Queensland's largest refugee settlement centre. In Brisbane alone, there are many centres like this, dedicated to handling all the problems an individual might face in relocating to a new country, including support for families and job assistance.
To take the screw out. So that's the procedure. They're the steps.
For these refugees, the first obstacles to conquer is language.
All right, time for this. Put on the safety gloves.
In this English class, students are learning practical phrases for everyday use.
Left hand, and now
right hand.
The right hand.
Putting on a glove may seem to be a task everyone knows how to do.
Put your thumb's gotta go in there, yeah?
But if language comprehension is problematic, then instructions will be difficult to follow.
Just trying, yeah?
Good. Trying it all.
They might do in the workplace or at home, tasks that start with one step and move on to the next step. So today we've been doing a sequence of how to put a screw into a piece of wood, and they've done about 9 steps to that. and completed not only writing the task but the actual task itself.
I have came after 2 months, and I have improved my English. Everything in the life, and for shopping and buying something and selling something, and rent a house. Everything he teaches.
At the settlement center, refugees can receive assistance assimilating into the local culture. Those who have problems at work can also seek guidance from counselors, as not all refugees are looking for a handout. However, finding a job in this unstable economy is difficult. Statistics show that Australia's unemployment rate is currently at an all-time high of 5.6%. Even the Gold Coast, the popular tourist area, has been hit hard, with many empty storefronts in evidence. With Australia's own economy suffering, assisting asylum seekers will become an even bigger challenge for the country in the months ahead.
In Taiwan, if a product has indicated zero amount of trans fat in every 100 grams of food, it doesn't necessarily mean that there's no traces of trans fat, as regulations allowed food makers to print zero for any amount of trans fats below 0.3 grams per 100 grams. So how should consumers choose their food? Let's find out in our next report.
看这个标示，你觉得它的反式脂肪的含量？
它这不是标示没有吗？
你觉得它代表的意思就是说反式脂肪的含量就是
0。Consumers should not let down their guards when seeing products that show zero trans fat, as regulations here in Taiwan only require labeling when the amount is over 0.3 grams per 100 grams. And food makers not only play with numbers but also with words.
Besides coconut and palm oil, most oil come in a liquid form. When it is displayed in a solid form under room temperature, that means it has been hydrogenated.
Looking through the chocolate products in supermarkets chain stores, the ingredients all include either cocoa butter, margarine, or some sort of butter, which means that traces of trans fats can be found in such products.
告诉你说部分氢化的意思就代表它其实是有反式脂肪的。
那它这样标示不是不清吗？
Nevertheless, learning to read labels doesn't prevent us from absorbing trans fats as we make a trip to the traditional market. Just now, I spent only a little more than $10 to buy this pineapple bread at this traditional market. Do you know the price we pay for such cheap food? Besides the delicious filling and pleasant taste, these breads, which can be purchased at a low price, are a favorite among many families.
是经常来买这一家？
对啊，我们大概1个礼拜2次至3次。
Hydrogenated margarine is really cheap. Natural butter is higher in cost. And if the prices for such products are so low, of course it is not possible that they use natural ingredients.
The cheaper the products, the more worried consumers should be. Back in the supermarket, looking at 2 different brands of butter, both 160 grams, the one made with animal oil cost $125 NT, while the hydrogenated margarine only cost $85 NT. Once again proof that the wide use of trans fat is cost-related. Nonetheless, the fine for false labeling is only between $40,000 and $200,000 NT.
If we leave natural oil there for a long time, it will still produce an oily smell. If members of the public are not so fussy about the food they eat, food makers will cater to their customers' taste. We cannot always rely on the government to keep an eye on food safety for us, because they are limited in manpower. What is better is to educate the general public.
The recent spate of food safety issues in Taiwan has redefined consumers' knowledge of the food they eat on an everyday basis. Though it is not difficult to detect these problems, but to what degree are consumers willing to change their diet is another question. In Malaysia, DaAi mothers from the Tzu Chi Clump branch recently organized an event in which graduates had a chance to express their gratitude to their teachers. Let's take a look.
At this graduation ceremony, students expressed their love and respect for their teachers as they served them tea. The thoughtful gesture brings tears to their teachers' eyes.
We don't want our students to just excel academically. One's conduct is just as important. They should learn gratitude. If they have a heart of gratitude, they will be successful.
Some 2 months ago, DaAi mothers began teaching handcraft and sign language in schools in and around Klang. We want to let the teachers here in Klang know that their devotion and commitment hasn't gone unnoticed. Our DaAi mothers can see the hard work you teachers put in, and we are extremely grateful. We hope you will keep that initial aspiration close to your heart. Seeing the students more thoughtful and mature, Principal Liu Chunyan couldn't be more proud, and each hug is an extension of her deepest blessings. I feel that children should practice gratitude. If everyone could be more grateful, then our world can be a more peaceful place. So we have to nurture our students when young to have a heart of gratitude and love. As students head towards the next milestone of their life, the selflessness of their teachers and the care of their DaAi mothers will continue to safeguard them on their new journey ahead.
Staying in Malaysia, Tzu Chi's entrepreneur volunteers held a golf competition to help raise funds for the construction of the Kuala Lumpur Jingsi home. During the event, 4 volunteers who have just returned from the Philippines also shared their experiences, hoping to inspire others to donate to a good cause.
On the greens here in Malaysia, affluent businessmen and entrepreneurs are attending a golf competition hosted by the Tzu Chi Kuala Lumpur and Selangor chapter to raise construction funds for a Jingsi hall.
It is not about winning, but it's about meeting good friends, meeting organizations, who are all together for one good cause, that is to help people in terms of.
Seeing everyone so enthusiastic and supportive of this cause makes me happy and smile like this. It feels very different.
When they see a Tzu Chi event, everyone participates. It could be because Tzu Chi is gaining a reputation, and more people know what we do.
Among the competitors is founder of the Greenfield Capital Group, Tan Suri Li Jinyo, who has donated the use of the golf course for the past 4 years.
This golf course was established because I wanted charity organizations to use it for fundraising. I think having events here can inspire the rich to help the poor.
4 Tzu Chi volunteers who just returned from the Philippines also joined the event to share their impression of the ongoing relief work. Hearing of the true extent of the devastation, many entrepreneurs donated to the cause.
If you are not doing surgery, your wound will be, there's a hole inside there.
By participating in charity events like this, these entrepreneurs find a chance to enhance their spirituality.
Back to Taiwan, the movie Taiwan from Above by Chi Bo-ling recently won the 50th Golden Horse Award for Best Documentary. During the time it was broadcast in cinemas all around the island, Tzu Chi volunteers in Taipei Xinyi District seized the opportunity to promote environmentalism outside the movie theatre to the general public. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for tuning in. Goodbye.